like you're supposed to be a witness to these things that are happening. So I think it's forced me to be really kind of present, to really be present. And try to think about things, as I said before, in the most holistic way possible. To not dismiss an idea or a person because I don't believe in it or I don't like that person. That's the first thing. Second, aspiring journalists. There's a thing called the Knight Foundation. They give a lot of money to certain places. I recently got funded. I'm on the advisory board of a journalism, Innovation for Journalism group at the American University of Washington, D.C. And we started having one-day summits. I call them reimagining journalism. And so 3 weeks ago, we invited 20 to 30-something journalists, print, radio, TV, to get to Washington, D.C. for 2 days and talk about the journalism for the future. And it was really interesting. We had somebody from CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, the New Yorker, the Colorado Spring Gazette, that had a weekly there. And what was interesting is hearing them talk about how they feel so unsettled, because the whole industry is unsettled. We're living in the age of disruption. And what did come through is that people are really trying to figure out how to be as efficient and as insightful storytellers. So it's all about storytelling. So if I were a young journalist, I would really focus, instead of focusing on the technical angles of it, right? I mean, editing a video, doing video, it's not that hard to learn. Take a 3-month course of FUDCO, you'll figure that out. But what you need to learn, however, is to think like a journalist. Which means that, to me, is like to train yourself to look at stories in as many different ways as you possibly can. And to be as insightful as you possibly can about a story.
What do you think about young, aspiring journalists? Should they think about newspapers as a career, or is a newspaper history?
No, I mean, a newspaper, a TV show, a radio show, where is all of that? Online. The newspaper's not going to go away. Like, my connection to my community is always going to be because somebody at the Mountain View, I just think, to me, if I were a local newspaper, I'd be so excited by the opportunities, to kind of tell stories differently. Or to how do I actually engage people in the community? How do you actually engage your own readers? Because the readers are no longer just readers. They want to have a say in what you're doing. How do you open up the process and make it more transparent?
But in the future, do you see, 50 years from now, will there be actual paper newspapers?
No. I mean, I don't think
They'll be
no.
gone?
I don't think, most of what I read now is usually on my iPhone, which is really interesting. I find myself I can spend hours just reading on my iPhone. Because, just the economy, the economics of it is unsustainable. It just is. And more than that, expectations. Yeah, you talk to like a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old, what do they expect out of news? Completely different. It used to be that you come to the news, right? You subscribe to the newspaper, you watch the 6 o'clock news. Now news comes to you. News comes to you. This is where Twitter and Facebook and blogging and email really, like for example, I was just telling you this, I heard about the Huffington Post being sold to AOL because of a text message from a friend who had read it somewhere. So he then texted me and then sent me an email saying, hey, click on the link. That's how people live.
A quick instant survey. How many people still subscribe to a paper?